as long as they don't give up hope and they try to better themselves, anybody can make it. Anybody can make it.
Maryland is one of the wealthiest states in America. Median household income over $90,000. Sitting right next to Washington, D.C., where more money moves in a single afternoon than most countries see in an entire year. And tonight, in this same wealthy state, people are being turned away from shelters because there is no room left. Maryland spent over $73,400,000 on homelessness programs in 2026. $73 million. And the shelters are still full. This is not about laziness. This is not about bad choices. This is about a system that keeps taking money and keeps failing the same people year after year after year. In this documentary, we are going to show you exactly where that money went. Why the shelters are overflowing despite record spending, and what is really happening to the thousands of people that $73 million was supposed to reach but never did. If you want to see the truth behind the budget announcements and the press conferences, subscribe to GlobePath right now and stay with us until the very end, because what you are about to hear will change the way you look at every government spending headline you ever read again. Chapter 1, The Wealthy State with a Hidden Crisis, Maryland, is not a struggling state. That needs to be said clearly from the beginning. With one of the highest median household incomes in the entire country, Maryland sits at the doorstep of the nation's capital, surrounded by federal agencies, defense contractors, and some of the most highly paid professionals in America. On the surface, Maryland represents everything the American dream promises: stability, opportunity, prosperity, but remove that surface. Drive past the Annapolis waterfront, walk through Baltimore's forgotten neighborhoods, stand outside a shelter in Prince George's County on a January night, and you will find a Maryland that the headlines never talk about. According to the 2026 point-in-time count, over 7,200 people are experiencing homelessness in Maryland on any given night. More than 2,100 of them are completely unsheltered. No tent, no car, no floor, just open sky in a state where winter temperatures regularly drop below freezing. And the number is not going down, despite record budgets, despite new programs, despite press conferences promising change. Maryland's homeless population has grown year after year. The question is not whether Maryland is spending money. It clearly is. The question is why that spending is not solving the problem. And the answer begins with understanding who these 7,000 people actually are. Chapter 2, The People the Budget Forgot. When most people hear the word homeless, they picture someone far removed from their own life. Someone whose story began somewhere very different from their own. The reality of Maryland's homeless population destroys that picture completely. There is the hotel housekeeper from Baltimore who worked 11 years without missing a single shift. She sent her children to school every morning with packed lunches. She paid her rent on time every month for a decade. Then, the hotel cut her hours in half. Her rent went up $300. She asked her landlord for 2 weeks. She got 3 days. Within a month, she and her 2 children were sleeping in her car in a parking lot in Towson, still dropping her kids at school every morning, still looking for work every afternoon, completely invisible to the system built to catch her. There is the retired postal worker from Prince George's County, 40 years of federal service, a small pension of $1,100 a month, an apartment he had lived in for 18 years. When his building was sold to a developer, he received a 60-day notice to leave. His pension could not cover the new market rate rents in any neighborhood he had ever called home. He applied for subsidized housing. He was told the waiting list was 4 to 6 years. He is 71 years old. He now sleeps in a Maryland shelter when there is space. When there is not, he sleeps on a bench outside the post office where he worked for 4 decades. These are not edge cases. These are Maryland's homeless population. Working people, retired people, families, veterans, people who did everything right and still ended up outside because the system moved too slowly to catch them when they fell. The brutal truth is this: in Maryland in 2026, the distance between having a home and losing one is not a canyon. It is a single missed paycheck. Chapter 3, where did $73 million actually go now? Let us follow the money. Because this is where the story stops being just sad and starts being something much harder to accept. Maryland allocated over $73,400,000 to homelessness programs in 2026. That is a serious number. So let us do the math that nobody in a press conference ever does. Maryland has approximately 7,200 homeless people. $73 million divided by 7,200 people equals roughly $10,194 per person. $10,000 per person. Enough to cover 6 to 7 months of rent for every single homeless person in this state. And yet the shelters are full. And yet families are sleeping in cars. And yet a 71-year-old man is on a bench outside his old office. So where does the money actually go? First, it goes to administration. Every government program requires management staff salaries, office space, reporting systems, compliance officers, grant managers. In states across America, administrative overhead consumes between 25 and 40% of total homelessness funding before a single person receives any help. On $73 million, that means up to $29 million goes to managing the system rather than serving the people the system exists for. What remains goes to construction. Maryland, like most states, directs a large portion of funds toward building new affordable housing units. This sounds like the right move, until you see the price tag. In Maryland, building one single affordable housing unit costs between $300,000 and $500,000. With the remaining money after administration, Maryland can build somewhere between 80 and 130 units for 7,200 people. The rest covers shelter operations, staff, security, food, utilities, insurance. The average cost of one shelter bed in Maryland is between $45 and $65 per night. For 2,000 shelter beds, that is over $40 million a year just to keep the doors open. Add it all together: administration, construction, operations, and suddenly $73 million is not nearly enough, and the people it was meant to help are receiving only a fraction of what was spent in their name. This is not corruption. This is not theft. This is a system so expensive to run that the machinery of helping people costs more than the help itself. Chapter 4, Baltimore, a city the system left behind. To understand Maryland's crisis at ground level, you have to go to Baltimore. Baltimore is Maryland's largest city. It is also the center of the state's homelessness emergency. In 2026, Baltimore alone accounts for nearly half of every homeless person counted in the entire state of Maryland. Over 3,300 people are experiencing homelessness in Baltimore right now. Baltimore has always carried the weight of American contradiction, a city of extraordinary culture, art, music, history, resilience, and also a city that has watched its working class quietly disappear over the past 30 years. When manufacturing left Baltimore, the jobs left with it. When the jobs left, the tax base weakened. When the tax base weakened, city services declined. When city services declined, the neighborhoods that needed them most were left to absorb the consequences entirely on their own. What you see on Baltimore's streets today is not the result of one bad year. It is the result of 30 years of decisions that chose waterfront condominiums over affordable housing, tourism dollars over living wages, and new development over the people who had lived there their entire lives. Baltimore receives a significant share of Maryland's $73 million, and yet the shelters in Baltimore turn people away every single night. Not because the money is not coming, but because the need is growing faster than the money can follow. Every year in Baltimore, more people fall into homelessness than the system pulls out of it. The system is running, but it is running in place. And the people falling through the cracks are paying for that with their lives. Chapter 5, The Night the Shelter Said No It, is 9 in the evening on a Tuesday in January. The temperature outside is 28 degrees Fahrenheit. You have been on the street for 3 weeks. Tonight you ask for help. You walk to the nearest emergency shelter. There is already a line. You wait an hour. The door opens. A worker steps out. Sorry, we are at capacity. We cannot take anyone else tonight. You ask where else you can go. They hand you a paper, a list of other shelters. You call the first one. Full, you call the second. Full, the third has 1 bed, but it is a men-only facility, and you have your daughter with you. You go back to the street. 28 degrees. Your daughter pulls her jacket tighter, and you tell her everything is going to be okay. This is not a story someone imagined. This is what happened to real families in Maryland this past winter. Maryland's shelter system has approximately 3,800 emergency beds across the entire state. On any given winter night, demand exceeds that number by hundreds of people. And for those who do get inside, a shelter bed is not a solution. It is a single night's pause in a much longer crisis. The average length of time a person spends in Maryland's shelter system before finding stable housing is over 200 days. More than 6 months. 6 months of waking up every morning not knowing if tonight's bed will be there tomorrow. 6 months of keeping everything you own in a single bag because there is nowhere safe to leave it. 6 months of your children going to school from a shelter address, hoping none of their classmates ever find out. This is what $73 million buys, not a solution. A pause. A temporary, uncertain, dignity-stripping pause. And when the pause ends, many people end up right back outside because the next step, permanent housing, has a waiting list that stretches not months, but years. Chapter 6, What Would Actually Fix This documentary, has shown you what is broken. Now the most important question, what would actually work? Not in theory, not in a policy paper, in reality. For the mother in Towson, for the retired postal worker in Prince George's County, for the family turned away on a 28-degree night in January, the first answer is housing first and committing to it completely. Every state that is fully committed to placing people directly into stable housing before addressing other issues has seen homelessness drop significantly and permanently. Finland reduced chronic homelessness by over 70% using this model. Houston reduced homelessness by 60% in 5 years. Maryland has partially adopted housing first. Partial is not enough. Half a solution is not a solution. The second answer is cutting the administrative layers. If 25 to 40% of homelessness funding never reaches a homeless person, that is not acceptable and it is not inevitable. Direct housing voucher programs that put assistance straight into the hands of individuals consistently outperform bureaucratic program models at a fraction of the cost. The money exists. The question is whether the state will remove the layers standing between it and the people. The third answer is guaranteed emergency shelter access. No family should be turned away on a 28-degree night. Not in Maryland, not in America. Emergency overflow capacity using hotels, churches, and community centers must be activated automatically when shelter beds are full, not as a last resort, but as a guaranteed right. The fourth answer is accelerating affordable housing construction. A 4 to 6 year waiting list for subsidized housing is not a safety net. It is an insult. Maryland must streamline permits, incentivize private developers to build affordable units, and convert existing empty buildings into housing at a speed that matches the scale of the crisis, not the speed of a government committee. These solutions are not radical. They are working in other places right now. The evidence exists. The models are proven. The only question left is whether Maryland will choose to use them or whether next winter the line will form outside that shelter again, and another family will be handed a piece of paper with a list of places that are also full. $73 million was spent. The shelters are still full, and the people standing in that line tonight are still waiting for an answer that money alone was never going to give them. If this documentary changed the way you see this crisis, leave a comment below. Share this video with someone who needs to understand where the money really goes. And subscribe to GlobePath because we follow the money so you can see exactly where it ends up.